Good morning everyone. Welcome to my SQL tutorial. So in the last video, we have discussed about the CTE, that is common table expression, like what is CTE and how to write a CTE or how to create a CTE, followed by its scope, advantage and limitations or disadvantage. So as discussed, I told you about the last line, that is for every large data set, recursive CTE can be slow or resource intensive. So let's discuss about first what is recursive CTE and then what do you mean by this? Okay, or by this limitation. Okay, what it actually says. So if you haven't watched the last video about the CTE, so it's necessary to watch so that you will understand like what is recursive CTE. Okay, so I will provide the link in description. Okay, so let's continue. So basically, what is CTE? I mean, recursive CTE. So it is a query that refers to itself until it reach a stopping condition. So recursive means what? It repeats itself, right? Based on the logic or based on the condition, it will iterate, right? Until it reaches that condition. Or okay. So basically continuous repetition, right? That is recursive. And here recursive CT means one query we have written and that iterates to a specific condition mentioned. Okay, it might be infinite or finite, that will be depending upon the business logic, right? But it iterates, right? So that is the basic definition of recursive CT. Okay, so you can answer like this in interview also. It is a query that refers to itself until it reaches a stopping condition. Now what does that actually mean? So we'll discuss now, okay, with one example. So it is commonly used to work with hierarchical or tree structured data. Okay. Hierarchical means what? Let's say what basic to remember about the hierarchical data, like to quick recall about what do you mean by if someone asks you like what is hierarchical data? Simply the employee and manager relationship. Okay. So during in the self-join video also, I have explained like what is the hierarchical data. So you can watch that video also. I will provide the link in description. So to deal with the hierarchical or tree structured data, okay, we can use recursive CT. Okay. So an example, okay, as discussed, an employee hierarchy or organizational chart. Okay. So first we'll understand like basically with an example. So here I have considered one example where we can use the recursive CT. Okay, I'll explain you like why to use recursive CT. So here I have taken one example using a recursive CT. We have to count numbers. So let's say, so to understand first, we have to count or print the numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, so this is the query. Okay, so if you haven't watched the last video, so I would highly recommend to watch. Okay, so basically this is the basic way to write a CT. Okay, starting with the with keyword followed by this is the CTE name. Okay, as inside this parenthesis or bracket we have to write the query. So what this query does, it selects the select one as alias. I am giving alias as a number, union all I am using here. So now here why I am using the union all, because it will include the null, or let's say for better understanding, it will include the duplicate values. Okay, okay, and then I am selecting number plus one, right? One, this is one, right? So one plus one, like that, from number sequence, that is from the CT. This is the condition. So on this condition, actually the CTE iterates. Okay, so where number less than 5, closing and then calling the CTE, select start from number sequence. So let's execute. So we are getting the numbers from 1 to 5, right? So this is the condition, right? So what it actually happening here, select one as number, union all, then 1 plus 1 plus 1, right? From number sequence. So here at present the number is comparing this number from 5. Okay. If it satisfies the condition, and it will include, it will iterate, and then again it'll move forward, right? So in that way it actually iterates. Okay. So now here, like, recursive, why we have implemented this through recursive CTE? Because we have to print the numbers from 1 to 5, right? In this way we have to print now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we have to perform the same thing, right? By incrementation we have to iterate, right? We have to print the numbers. So ideally what we are doing, we are printing the numbers. Just the difference is we are iterating by 1 here, right? In this line of code. So we are implementing this program or problem statement using the recursive CTE. Why? Because the recursive CTE, it functions in this way. So we are using this logic here, basically. So why to use dynamic range generation, right? Here you can, based on the business requirements, we can print till 100 also, right? We can print till 100 or 1000, right? So it will print. So dynamically we can, if we want to deal with any specific range, okay, then we can use recursive CTE. Customizable, of course. Pagination. So many, nowadays almost every software is okay to, there is a role of pagination, right? In the first page, or 10 records are shown, or 20 records are shown. In the next page, another 20 records, okay, to simplify the data, right? To prevent the performance issue, okay, or for the fast data retrieval, or to manage the data retrieval, okay, if we are dealing with the large data sets, pagination comes into picture, okay. So for that particular business requirements, we can use the recursive CTE, right? So now use cases are commonly, if you are dealing with the hierarchical data, then of course you can use the recursive CTE. Bill of materials, right? Menu structures, file systems, and graph traversal. Okay, for this type of use cases, we can use the recursive CTE. What are the limitations? So recursive CTE are not as efficient as dedicated sequence, are or number generation generator functions for large databases. Like say if you have lakhs of data, or you have millions of data, so there might be the performance issue. Okay, because here the CTE is iterating based on the condition. Like here, let's say if the condition is infinite, or if we want to iterate very large amount of data, right? Let's say if we want to print from 1 to, let's say, 1 lakh records, right? From 1 to, let's say. So there might be the performance issue, because the query will run from 1 to 1 lakh, right? So there might be a performance issue as well. So okay, then we have to use the indexes, right? I hope you guys are friendly with the indexes concept. Okay, so then we want to implement indexes on that particular problem, let's say for number, and then we have to. So again, this is one of the, we can say, the drawback or limitation of using the recursivity. I hope you guys are getting. Let me know the comment section. So again, ultimately, we have a number of facilities available in SQL, or let's say concepts. Okay, so it's totally depend upon the business requirement. Okay, so as per business requirement, we can use the best way or best concept to solve that business requirement, or let's say problem statement. So again, it will totally depend on problem statement. If we don't want to fetch the large data, let's say, if we want to print only, let's say, 1,000 records or 20 records, okay, so then we can use recursive city, or we can move on to any other stuff, let's say indexes or like that. So it's totally depend on the problem statement. I hope you guys are getting. Let me know in the comment section. So this was all about CTE and recursive CTE. So in the next video, we'll come up with another concept of SQL. So till then, thank you. Have a